Welcome to the Middle America Politics Podcast. I am Street Sweeper, your host, along with my co-host, Sam Fisher. Sam, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Look, I like my shirt tonight. It says "Live Dudes." It's from Bussing with the Boys, but I think it's apropos.
Fantastic.
Jerry,
I have a question. What do you want to talk about?
Jerry, I have a question for you. Do you feel sorry for Donald J. Trump? Do you feel like he's being persecuted?
No. I mean, I will say this, and I think most political and legal commentators agree that the case against him it's not, it's not the case you really wanted to pull. It's 7 years old, I think, at least. As I understand it, it's a novel legal theory, and it has a great chance of not being successful. So I think that's the worst thing going. As far as it goes, though, he was trying to pay off a porn star to not talk about the affair that he had with her right after his wife gave birth.
And if I were running against that guy, here's what I would say. I would say it's a $130,000 non-disclosure agreement because no one wants to hear about your small anatomy.
All I know is this.
That's how you have to beat that guy.
Back in the day, when Bill Clinton was president, my dad was a hardcore Republican and used to refer to him as a scumbag. And that was because of, all of his Monica Lewinsky stuff and everything else that went along with it. I don't see the difference with Donald Trump. You can like his politics, but I don't understand how you could like his personal life, put it that way. So that's my thought on that.
Do you think the national security could be threatened if a porn star got in the way?
What, like in the way of him and, the State of the Union?
I mean, do you think,
could he be,
could he make poor decisions because he could be induced by someone who's a porn star? So could he be led down the wrong path of national security? Could he be held hostage by a country that,
blackmailed, right?
Blackmailed by a porn star. Do you think that that's a possibility?
Sure, of course. That's always sort of the main goal of counter espionage and such, right?
Yes.
Like I said, I think it's a bad case, but he got himself into it. Good luck. The judge is also telling him that he better watch his mouth. So who knows?
Well, oops, that didn't last long. Do you think they're really coming after us, Jerry? In other words,
after you and me,
they're coming after you and me. They're not really going after him. They're coming after you and me. Do you believe that, Jerry?
No, but it's always one of those things. There's always there's a grain of truth to everything. Is there screwy politics coming down the pike? Every time you look up, of course. And so, it's Trump jumping in the middle of a 10-car pileup and saying they're all going after me. Well, the pileup was going to happen whether he was there or not. Like I said, I just think I wish he would step out of the public. There's been a couple of, there's two big races recently that, one in Wisconsin, a big state Supreme Court race there. They elect their judges and their justices. And basically they hammered the Republican as a Trump guy. He wasn't really, but that's the way they fed it to the public, and the Democrat won handily. So now they've got a Democrat majority there. This has happened time and again, and happened in the U.S. Senate and the congressional races and state house races. As long as he's there, man.
But those were all fraudulent elections.
He is the turd in the punch bowl right now, and we can't get rid of him.
However, he is the front runner by a long shot.
Well, I guess so. But everybody keeps saying that. I'd love to see a state-by-state breakdown, instead of these national polls.
Strong across the board, Jerry. Strong across the board.
Probably. I mean, that's probably the case, but
including Florida.
A long ways off.
Yeah. Is Alvin Bragg politically motivated?
Sure, 100%.
The guy, he freaking ran on this.
Yeah,
he's
right.
fulfilling a campaign promise.
Yep.
Yeah, he is. But
so what? What
I had a client in New York State.
What?
I had a client in New York State, and this is nothing new. I mean, the Democrats have long been corrupt and abusive of power.
Sure.
Nothing new in New York State. So I don't know if Trump's trying to expose it or he can't help himself. He can't help himself. And, the Republicans, the big argument I hear a lot is it's a double standard. Like, why aren't we prosecuting Hunter Biden? Why didn't we prosecute Bill Clinton? Well,
because the Democrats are in power right now. And how did they get in power? Right? Yes. The president?
But it's a double standard, people say. It's a double standard. It's always been a double standard.
Yeah.
Ever since I've been born, Republicans have had to hold a higher standard than Democrats. That is just a fact of life.
Yeah.
It's just a fact of life. And then along comes Donald Trump in 2016, absolutely defies gravity. And he didn't hold a higher standard. He held a lower standard, in my opinion.
Sure.
And it's fascinating. It's fascinating what's going on.
Yep. It's crazy. It's going to keep going for a while.
That's all you have, Sweeper? Yep. That's all you've got?
It is funny because I listen to political stuff, a lot of podcasts. I read it all. Not all of it, but I read a lot and I listen to a lot. And all they've been, and it's been Trump for the past 2 weeks. And God, I've been starting to listen to like health podcasts because it's too much right now. And it's so much, especially because nobody has anything to say about it. Really, it's like, oh, they didn't know what the indictments were. Well, now know what the indictments are. The indictments are all 7 years old. They say he spent money and called it a campaign expense and it wasn't. And what, is he going to go down for that? I bet not. And then what else is there to say? Just like you just said, he's ahead. And then what?
The interesting thing is the timing, and no one's really talked about this. The next court proceedings are December 4th.
Is that right?
December 4th of 2023. Well, what's December 4th, 2023? What's that close to? We're expeditiously moving this along. Well,
yeah, right.
Isn't that fascinating? It's going to be December 4th. So whatever happens December 4th is either going to, the only thing that will stop him from running for president is if he's a convicted felon, because then he cannot run for president. And ultimately, that's why they're doing this. They have 34 charges. They're going to try and get one to stick.
And the thing is,
so December 4th, if the whole thing falls apart, what is going to happen? So if it falls apart, everybody's going to rally around Trump. Then I think after December 4th, then there's a trial. And Trump wanted the trial in February. His lawyers wanted it in February, March. Like, what are you right in the middle of the primary season?
Right.
Okay. So my question becomes, so say it is in February, March next year, and say they do convict him in February, March next year, and say he's at that point, he is the leader. Then all of a sudden, these other candidates, there's going to be a convention, a brokered convention, because Trump will have been a felon, and there's going to be a mass herding of cats. So I think
I'd love it. I would love that.
It's going to be a fascinating election cycle.
I
don't think that's a possibility. I really don't think that's not a bust. So I would encourage people, if you don't like Trump, to find somebody they like, because they may end up being the nominee just because Trump's in such trouble.
There's a lot of them. I would choose. There's so many I would choose.
There's more stuff. This Georgia thing, I think, is much more legitimate as far as the charges go. He's on the phone to a Secretary of State saying you need to find 20,000 votes. I think it was the perfect phone call. Well, a perfect felonious phone call.
It was the perfect phone call for him to be impeached. Is it Is it the perfect one to convict him criminally? I don't know. I think there's a real good chance that, that a jury, could find him innocent. So,
yeah.
All right, what else you got?
No, I got more Trump stuff. I just want to make sure I covered it. Well, here's the other thing. Does this set precedent for Joe Biden to be hooked up? When I say hooked up, I mean handcuffed after he gets out of the presidency?
Well, there's an argument that, this can send America down a path of whenever you get elected, you go after your political opponents and you try to throw them in jail, which is what they do in banana republics. And
yes.
it sets it and it definitely sets a very bad precedent. And they're, of Republicans saying, now we're going to get you back. It's I don't think it's a good idea in general. And if he did something felonious, okay, but now is it just going to be we're going to find whatever cooked up charge we can against the other guy, and then the other guy, then the other gal, and then who knows what. So
yeah. Okay, well, we'll shift gears there.
I should ask you some questions. You're just getting my opinion.
Well, you can maybe on the next topic. Last night there was a mayor's race in Lincoln, and the results were. I haven't seen the results.
I haven't looked at them. What are they?
There's 55. Well, before today's 5,500 early votes that hadn't been counted, Larry and Baird was at 49%. Suzanne Geist was at 34%, and Stan Parker was at 17%. Suzanne Geist, Senator Geist today resigned from the legislature. And Pillen's going to name her successor tomorrow, which is that's kind of fast, but I guess they have to for
why not?
Obvious legislative reasons right now.
It was planned, that's not unexpected.
Right. He's got something in there. So, and then Stan Parker, who got 17, is going to, it's my understanding he's going to endorse her tomorrow.
He's going to endorse Geist.
Endorse Geist.
Uh-huh.
And so, I think the Lincoln mayor's race is, I'm not predicting a victory by Geist right now. But I do think that it is going to be closer than what people think. Based on some feedback that I've gotten from the campaign. And
close only counts in
I think it's doable.
Uh-huh.
I think it's doable. The folks that are in charge of the data are people that are people that I trust, people that I've hired, people that I've worked with in the past, and they know their stuff inside and out.
Having a lot of experience in mayoral politics.
Well, in lots of politics, but yes, a lot of experience in data and understanding persuadables and understanding who you've got to be talking to and all those things. So I think it's a race to be watched. I do think that they have foolishly and incompetently spent thousands of dollars on a ton of billboards. And,
really?
Apparently, yeah, I think they have.
Just for name ID? Wait, I'm sorry. Who is
Geist?
Geist did? Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think it's absolutely incompetent, and I think it's foolish.
What's a better way to get name ID?
Then billboard? Name something, because it's probably going to be better.
Everything else, yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, it's such a narrow universe you've got to communicate with. And, as somebody's driving 80 miles an hour back on the interstate, and there's a freaking billboard that's 100 yards away from the interstate, and I would say maybe 3% of our electorate even drives past that billboard every day. Yes, there are other means. Television, obviously cast wide net also, but you can target where you're going to buy and where her followers listen or what they're watching.
Internet's got to be numero uno for the best bang for your buck, right?
They can digitally advertise, mail, text messaging, and then the good old fashioned door knocks. And as from my understanding, they are going to run a very grassroots campaign with a lot of yard signs. I just would implore anybody that wants to put out yard signs for Suzanne Geist, will you please knock on 20 doors and ask if they'll vote for her, because yard signs do not vote. They haven't, and they never will. It's going to have to be
tell the audience
deal.
Tell the audience about the professional door knockers. I found that fascinating.
Well, there's certainly nowadays, if you truly want to run a campaign that is focused on peer-to-peer contact, you cannot rely solely on volunteers if you want to hit the numbers that you need to hit. And so you can hire people to go door to door, and you can hire them from national firms. They'll come in. I mean, there are professional door knockers. I mean, some are better than others, but that have actually been on the ground on many, many races, that do this for a living, and they just go from town to town, to city, or state to state, or whatever. And it's effective, and it's frankly
really cover.
I don't know. I have no idea if Geist is doing that, but it's something I would highly recommend that they do. But it will be one peer to peer, and that there are a couple issues that Barrett is very vulnerable on. One is safety, public safety, and and they will go after that issue. And I, it'll be interesting to see. And so it's just right around the corner. It's another 5 weeks. So I think it's 5 weeks,
right.
Or 6.
Right after.
I think it's the first Tuesday of May, I believe it is in Lincoln.
What was do you know what the turnout was?
I don't know what the turnout was.
I'm just curious.
That would require like work on my part. I don't work. I'm just booing stuff right now. But I think it was pretty low. But from what I understand, Baird wasn't getting persuadable type voters. She was just getting her base. So, if the Republicans fire up their base and then
as an independent,
right. Well, they're not necessarily independents by party. Sometimes they are. Some could be conservative Democrats, frankly, older retired people.
Right.
We'll see.
Exciting stuff. Yeah, that'll be a fun one to watch.
Yeah.
That's going to be.
It really is. It's live and local. So go if you're in Lincoln. I highly encourage you to get involved in that thing.
You can make a difference
down there.
If you want to, you can really make a difference. X number of votes per person, and suddenly you're electing somebody else. So.
Yep. Third topic I'd like to talk to you about, or talk with you and the listeners about a little bit, is something that's just in the last couple of days is driven me crazy. Did you see the Bud Light can? The new Bud Light can?
Yeah. I did.
You want to describe that for the listeners?
Well, it's a Bud Light can with the rainbow flag on it, or rainbow stripes, are kind of saying everyone should
choose your identity, or honor identity, or I don't get it. And so I saw that about the same day that I saw American Idol for the first time in I don't know how many years, and holy moly, talk about. And I just thought, I guess the topic I want to briefly touch on is the emasculation of men in this country is normalized, and to be expected.
Mm-hmm.
You have any thoughts on that? And frankly, those are they're not Trump people.
It's an amazing phenomenon, and I remember. I don't know how many years back, but I remember hearing this, and then I just again saw it recently, is that, in school, for kids, boys are, if boys are boys, they're bad, and boys are expected to act like girls. And there's not an expectation
kind boys.
Well, that they're,
how was that put?
Essentially that, boys aren't, it's unacceptable for boys to be rowdy, to be rambunctious, to be, have lots of energy. They're supposed to sit
Testosterone.
still
Yeah.
at all times. And, anybody knows that that's not what an average boy is. So they're expected to be like an average girl, because girls are a little more teachable. They listen and everything else. And, there's not, it's sort of the idea that everybody, every kid's going to be, a brain surgeon or is going to go to Harvard. It's like, no, some of them are going to be plumbers, and maybe you should, or electricians, or, some other skill. Then maybe you should be teaching.
Somebody's got to fix the furnace when it breaks down, for God's sakes.
Well, or at least, the concept that not everybody's going to college, not everybody's going to be a quiet little kid sitting with their hands folded. And, suddenly it's gotten to that expectation, not suddenly, but over time, it's gotten to that expectation. And I think this is part of that. The whole transgender thing, it's kind of like
they're trying to normalize it. It's not normal. It is not normal.
How about this? Normal. I mean, like there was a time where, people said being gay is not normal. And boy, I think you can look over a lot of years in history and say, yeah, it is. You just didn't want to accept it. And it's gotten more accepted. And so I feel like the transsexual community said, we can do that too. And even the gays are like, that's not where I think the majority, I don't want to say the majority, obviously, but there's some expectation that there's like 70% of the population is transgender. And, it's like, what? Why are we changing the rules for everything for this tiny, tiny fraction of people?
Why are we changing the color of a Bud Light beer can? That's going to be,
right.
That's going to be fascinating, because I'm not sure they understand who their audience. I don't.
Yeah, right.
It's going to be interesting to see if Bud Light's sales volume plummets.
And who knows? Well, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, that the thing that gets me, I will be quite honest, is I've been following the stuff in the Nebraska legislature where the two leaders, and it's Michaela Cavanaugh and who's the other female state senator from around Cathedral?
Megan
Hunt.
Yeah, Megan Hunt.
Megan Hunt.
She's
and they've both decided that if
she's
you
bisexual, by the way,
whatever. But they've stated over and over that if you unless you think that that biological males should swim against females and run in all the races in high school, and unless you think an 8-year-old should be able to transition without the permission of their parent to another sex, that you're evil. Not that you're wrong, not that you're incorrect, not that you're misinformed, but that you're evil. And I don't know if it's a ploy for them to get campaign money from national sources. That's what I suspect. But I
said it's not normal. I'm not saying it's evil. I said it's not normal. There's a difference.
Yeah. I mean, they're liars, and or you can simply I don't have a problem saying that they're. I mean, I don't know what, if you want to define normal, fine. But here's what I will say is that you're hurting young women who want to compete against other women. And you're potentially hurting a child who's making a bad decision, and somehow that, you decided that their parent shouldn't be informed. It's those two, it's just the converse of each of those ideas that I think is a very reasonable position that, like I said, they're not willing to debate it so they've just defined you as being evil. And it's insincere, and they're liars. And it's unfortunate that those people, that they're getting that much attention in the legislature, and that we have to talk about it.
I agree. Well, that was a quick 25 minutes. We got it all solved now, pal.
Exactly. Now we can all home and have a nice rest.
Looking if you like this podcast, share it, for heaven's sakes. We're trying to get known in the world.
That's right. You can comment at Leavenworth Street. You can comment at Meridian Sam, both on Twitter. You can find us on the Facebook, I believe.
Facebook. No, we're not on the Facebook.
I'm on the Facebook.
Oh, you're on the Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're on the Facebook. Yeah.
Yes.
Don't come to my personal Facebook page.
And you can find all this info generally as well at leavenworthstreet.com where this will be reposted. So all sorts of different places to look for. So you can find us at Mid America Pals on the Twitter. And you can comment there as well. We'd love to hear from you, get your thoughts. We're hitting lots of different sides, I think, on the issues, and, tell us yours, and we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, guess what? If you share with us, it may come bleeding out in a commentary someday. So let's keep it rolling.
That's a bingo.
See ya.
All right. Bye.